Welcome, I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, Kaduna State Government declares the Islamic movement in Nigeria an unlawful association, bans the group from operating in the state. Federal government withdraws charges of criminal conspiracy and forgery filed against the Senate President, his deputy and 2 others. Self-acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, sues federal government at ECOWAS Court of Justice, demands compensation for alleged rights violation. And Hurricane Matthew hammers coast of Florida in the U.S., leaving over 800,000 people without electricity.
And in business news tonight, the Oni of Ife, Obade Ogunwusi, advocates patronage of locally made items to lift Nigeria out of recession.
And on sports news tonight, Nigeria's Super Eagles begin race to qualify for Russia 2018 World Cup with a crucial matchup against Zambia's Chipolopolo in Ndola.
And from Abuja, I'm Ibrahim Adra. Federal government denies allegations of freezing an ex-president's allowances and bank accounts. Insists leaders have been paid up to the end of second quarter.
The Kaduna State government has issued an order declaring the Islamic movement in Nigeria an unlawful association. Spokesman to the state governor Samuel Arwan says the government has secured an order from the State Executive Council to ban the Islamic movement existing and operating in the state with immediate effect. The declaration order notes that since the clash between members of the movement and soldiers in Zaria, which resulted in the loss of 347 lives, the group has continued with unlawful processions, obstruction of public highways and unauthorized occupation of public facilities. In the meantime, the spokesperson of the Islamist movement in Nigeria, Mr. Ibrahim Musa, says the group totally rejects the announcement made by the Kaduna State government. He adds that the group will give an appropriate response to what he describes as an affront on its members' rights. Again, just to say that the movement have totally rejected the announcement made by the Kaduna State government, adding that the group will give an appropriate response to what is described as an affront on its members' rights. Away from those hostilities, the federal government says there's no iota of truth in the allegation that allowances of a former president have been stopped and his bank accounts frozen. In a statement by the presidential spokesman Garba Shehu, the presidency confirmed that all former leaders have been paid their allowances up to the second quarter. The statement added that although the past leaders have not been paid third quarter allowances, they'll get their dues when remittances are received by the SGF from the Ministry of Finance. The presidential spokesman says President Buhari remains committed to the ideals of justice and fairness to all, irrespective of creed, religion and political leanings. Now, Federal Capital Territory High Court has struck out a 2-count charge of criminal conspiracy and forgery filed against the Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki, his deputy Ekweremadu and former clerk of the National Assembly Abubakar Maikashua. Justice Yusuf Halilu struck out the charges following an application by the prosecuting counsel, Mr. Aliu Umar, withdrawing the case. Our correspondent Amaka Okafo reports.
Lawyers and supporters at an Abuja High Court, venue of the case against the Senate President Dr. Bukola Saraki and his deputy Ekweremadu. And it is the arrival of the defendants in the case. They were accompanied by supporters and well-wishers. They exchanged pleasantries and joined the other 2 accused persons, a former clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Abubakar Maikashua, and the current Deputy Clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Benedict. At the beginning of the proceedings, the prosecutor, Aliu Umar, informed the court that even though he is in court with his witness, from the facts adduced by the accused persons in their various applications seeking to quash the charges against them, a court of coordinate jurisdiction is already hearing the case. He explained that the federal government is a respecter of the rule of law, saying two courts of coordinate jurisdiction cannot adjudicate on the same issues. He said it has therefore become imperative for the courts to strike out the charges against the four accused persons. With no objection from the defense lawyers, Justice Halilu Yusuf struck out the charges and discharged all the accused persons. As the accused persons made their way out of court, they were met with cheers from their supporters, who were excited at the news that the charges against them have been dropped. After the proceedings, the prosecutor explained why he took the action.
We felt that we shouldn't be playing one court against the other. There is a possibility that there may be conflicting judgments. And this government, like the Attorney General instructed me, adheres to the rule of law and fairness, fair hearing. That's why we are withdrawing this case, pending the time when that case will be completed.
The defense lawyers commended the federal government for being courageous enough to do the right thing in the case.
The case naturally had to come to an end because of the existence of an abuse of process.
That is what we expect of a prosecutor. A prosecutor is not supposed to win by all means. Neither is he supposed to lose by all means. I commend the government for that.
Others had words of commendation for the prosecutor for advising his principals correctly.
Really commendable the way he withdrew the charges.
I give very high marks to my friend Ali Umar, SAN, for his intelligence and courage in terminating this proceeding.
For now, the Senate President and his co-defendants have been freed of these forgery charges, perhaps never to return again as far as this case is concerned. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the Senate President and his deputy have described the verdict of the FCT High Court as a welcome development and evidence of their innocence. The spokesperson for the Senate President says the case lacks merit and the charge of forgery of the Senate rules cannot be substantiated. Dr. Bukola Saraki and Senator Ekweremadu have also described the case as a politically induced distraction at a time when all must work together to exit the recession. The detained self-acclaimed leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, has taken his quest for freedom to the ECOWAS Court of Justice in Abuja. Mr. Kanu is demanding the release of his personal belongings allegedly seized during his arrest and a monetary compensation of $800 million for alleged violation of his rights. He is also asking the court to compel the federal government and their agents to respect, protect and promote his human rights. Hearing in the case has been fixed for November the 8th, 2016. Let's move to some politics, and supporters of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State have taken to the streets of Benin City, the state capital, to protest against the results of the governorship election. The party's leaders and supporters, led by Mr. Ize-Iyamu, gathered at the party's secretariat, from where they marched through major roads to call attention to what they describe as a rigged poll.
A charged atmosphere at the Ize-Iyamu Yakubu Campaign Organization office of the People's Democratic Party PDP in Benin City, the Edo State capital. Party faithful prepare for a protest march to express their dissatisfaction with the results of the 2016 Edo governorship election. They claim that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) had wrongfully awarded victory to the All Progressives Congress (APC). The governorship candidate of the PDP, Pastor Usagi Ize-Iyamu, in company of party leaders, arrives and it was straight to the podium.
This morning, I'm here to reassure you that we have decided that we will use every available means to reclaim our mandate.
The very long procession then goes through some major streets of the state capital, armed with placards, chanting songs. Back at the campaign grounds, the chairman Edo PDP, Mr. Dan Obi, says the party has convincing evidence to substantiate the claims of rigging of the results by INEC.
An election where the national chairman of APC lost his polling unit. An election where the chairman of APC in Edo State lost his polling unit. Certainly we will not rest until we retrieve our stolen mandate.
For Pastor Ize-Iyamu, the judiciary will eventually vindicate the PDP in these allegations.
We have 21 days to file our case. We are going to go with that. INEC has tried to delay the process by not certifying the result sheet, but we believe that those are things that we'll be able to surmount. We have 2 months in the Court of Appeal. We have 2 months in the Supreme Court. So maximum, we believe that in 10 months, the OT will go.
The People's Democratic Party, by this move, demonstrates its readiness to contest the result of the 2016 Edo governorship election, exploring all the legal avenues available to them.
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission has been reacting to the allegations of compromise in the Edo State governorship election. According to INEC, the election was free and fair and was conducted in accordance with the guidelines as contained in the Electoral Act. The INEC National Commissioner in charge of voter education and publicity, Mr. Solomon Shoyebi, has therefore dismissed the claims of irregularities. Now, the battle line seems to have been drawn between landlords in a community in Owerri North and land developers in Imo State. The landowners are accusing the Owerri Capital Development Authority of attempting to forcefully take over their land. The developers, however, deny the allegations, saying the land belongs to the state government.
The estate, looking abandoned, and heaps of debris scattered around Orada Ebu Layout Estate in Umuboji, Umori community in Owerri North local government area. The landlords are calling on the governor to save them for an attempt by a group of officials to send them packing from their homes after many years of occupancy.
Sometime 2 months or 3 months ago, and see caterpillars in this area. We learned that the caterpillars they are with OCDA staff, saying that they have instructions to demolish these areas, that they belong to government.
They also accused the Owerri Capital Development Authority of extorting money from them.
The same institution that took money from people for approval of drawings, and they come around with their hillocks to do monitoring, turn around all of a sudden to start collecting, to start demolishing structures that belongs to government. I wonder what they were doing with their job when they were collecting the money to approve those places.
It's necessary that this comes to the attention of the governor, so that the governor will intervene, so that we don't have another Syria. What is happening here is not different from what is happening in Syria, where somebody will wake up early in the morning and then demolish people's houses. We are not at war, and we don't want any war in Imo State.
As far as the Owerri Capital Development Authority is concerned, the landowners here are merely complaining as the property belongs to government, and according to them, the area has been mapped out for schools, hospitals and for other uses.
First and foremost, I can tell you that as a general manager of OCDM, our primary duty is development control. And whereby we discover that government property is being illegally taken, we will do everything to recover it. P9 layout is a government property. Those places were designed for secondary school, markets, fire service, police, primary school.
As these accusations and counter-accusations continue, it is expected that the appropriate government authority, especially the Ministry of Land and Survey, will wade in as quick as possible to ensure that the matter is handled in the right way so it doesn't escalate to any action that will cause breakdown of law and order in the state.